On January 19th, 5 days after two users joined the Kiwi Farms to accuse Turkey Tom of sexual misconduct, they reached out to me and asked me to do an interview with them, which I did. By all accounts, at the time, my interview was extraordinarily professional and did a very good job of handling a sensitive topic. Before I interviewed them, before I allowed them on the forum, I vetted that they had met Turkey Tom and they had had a relationship with Turkey Tom, which, as far as I am concerned, is all the vetting that I need to do. I correctly evaluated that they had been in a sexual romantic entanglement with this person, and they had things that they wanted to say, and I let them say it. As far as I am concerned, even now, that is my only job. I vetted the bare minimum and I let them say what they had to say. As it turns out, one of them lied about a significant amount of information, and that put everything that she said into doubt, and vicariously it made me look bad because she lied. So, in the interest of fairness, I do apologize if my platform was misappropriated and used to spread lies. Rowan definitely lied, and in the process harmed herself, harmed Turkey Tom, harmed me, harmed the Kiwi Farms, and also harmed other people who would want to share stories about people who had abused them for real, both if it was Turkey Tom or just general people. Because now, if someone else comes out and says that this YouTuber was violent towards me, people will just say, well, look at what happened with Turkey Tom. And I'll remind you, because I was accused of trying to attack Turkey Tom and being unfair towards him, I am one of the few people who actually defended him before this happened. I was accused of shielding him from fallout with Kai because I didn't understand what was going on, and I didn't trust that certain pictures were real or not, particularly the one where he allegedly carved her name into his chest, and that got shared around. And I was also accused of guarding him because after our discussion, he said something to the effect of her prostate referring to Keffel. And I made the statement, and I made repeatedly, that I understand he's just protecting his cash flow on YouTube. I understand what he's doing. I don't really hold that against him. And I ate it for that too. And then when I facilitate people having a discussion, I'm called out for trying to bring them down, which does not make sense. So I want to have a little reality check, because Rowan lied, but there's a rot here, and I think that it is only fair that we address that together. First of all, after the statements were made, both Nick DeOrio and Augie RFC, who are personal friends of Tom, were very light touch in talking about the subject. And Nicholas DeOrio actually gave out an explanation as to why. Immediately after Rowan started talking about Turkey Tom on the Kiwi Farms, they secluded themselves into a private Discord server and began plotting damage control without saying that that's what they were doing. There was a video that I shared of Augie RFC, and I had never watched an Augie video before, but what really got me is that he kept looking down to the camera and smugly smirking to himself. And I kept thinking, that looks a lot like Duper's Delight. That looks a lot like somebody who thinks they're getting away with lying. And as it turns out, I should have said that, because it's exactly what that was. He knew more than he was letting on, and he was extremely smug and self-satisfied because he was lying to people and getting away with it. But that has been kind of pushed to the wayside because Rowan lied. The video itself was also composed and written by a professional PR team, and I can prove this because of how it's structured. There's effectively 3 parts to this video. The video opens with a strong indication that Rowan lied, because she did lie. He proves that she lies about certain things. Then it closes with an emotional core. That's a voicemail where Rowan basically says to him that she is going to try and ruin his career because she is angry with him, which is really bad for somebody who just made a bunch of accusations 2 weeks prior to have said on record. In the middle of it is just muck throwing to try and muddy the waters enough where nothing else is critically evaluated. So I'm going to go through kind of a list of everything said. And then once I am done going through this list, I'm going to round this out with a final thought. And if people want to be mad at me, they can be mad at me, but I'm not going to pretend that everything is kosher and copacetic, because it's not. So let's start off with what he addressed. First of all, he proved beyond a shadow of a doubt, and Rowan has confirmed, that she knew who he was before they matched on Tinder. This is a catastrophic, foundational lie, and it ruins everything else she has to say and makes her look completely malicious. She knew who he was. She had messaged him before on Twitter. She is like a micro niche e-celeb, like in Discord servers or whatever, but she knew who he was. She said that Turkey Tom engaged in non-consensual, sexually violent actions against her, which is partially true. They had rough sex, but she apparently encouraged it in private. Turkey Tom has logs of it. She admits this is true. He addressed covering her mouth during sex and giving her bruises on her face. This was also consensual. She had accused him of encouraging an eating disorder, which he proved was a lie. He addressed age play allegations kind of duplicitously. He used a picture of a bedroom that had a Lolita poster in it. Rowan says that this was not her room. This was her friend's room, but Turkey Tom said that this was her room and passed it off as such. He also denied engaging in age play with Ellie, who is a cosplayer on Instagram. He was having an affair on Instagram with this girl who is an age player, who is into lolicon, but he simply says that he did not engage in age play with her. He blamed her vaginal bleeding from sex on birth control. She denies that this is true. And very importantly, I think this is at the very, very end. There's a audio recording. I think it's at the very end. No, I guess not. Where she basically says that she's going to try to ruin him, which fucks up everything that she has to say. Now, the other things that he addressed is that he flexes in the mirror while having sex like Patrick Bateman. And he says the words big white cock in this, I think 100 times. Which has led to the extremely homosexual act of many, many men gushing about BWC in a Kiwi Farms thread, praising his cock, worshiping his cock, talking about how much they love his cock and how big his cock is, which is an extremely bizarre thing, and I don't know if I have to elaborate on that. The other thing, there are some things which he partially addressed, but did not actually fully address. First of all, he addressed that he had consensual recordings of sex with Rowan. However, he never addressed having recordings of Katie. Katie accused him of recording her, and he never actually touched on that. He only touched on Rowan because Rowan had talked about it and talked about the meta glasses, which implied that there was at least some consent sometimes. He addressed the blackmail folder. He has a folder on his desktop called Just In Case where he keeps dirt on all of his exes, such as the dirt that was used in this video. He says that he would never blackmail somebody, but never denies the folder, so the folder exists, and we know it exists because Kai referenced it in her letter, which did appear to be forced, at least to me. By the way, I didn't mention this, but Kai has messaged me on Twitter, and we exchanged maybe 20 messages over about 3 hours of conversation because she took approximately 45 minutes for her to reply to anything that I said. At the end of that conversation, I had no fucking idea what she was trying to say. I have no idea why she reached out to me. I cannot discern what her thesis was. She just randomly messaged me and tried to tell me some stuff. I think the gist of it was that Turkey Tom definitely wasn't blackmailing her in any way. No fucking idea what she was trying to say. Completely insane. He partially addressed Ellie, who, as I mentioned, was a lolicon age player. He never denies cheating on Rowan with Ellie. He never denies the sextortion scheme through Ellie. He only denies that he ever engaged in age play, fetish role play with Ellie. And the only other thing that he addresses in regards to body count is that Rowan supposedly also lied about her body count, but he never talks about how he's having sex with random women about 1 per month, which is, I think, alarming. Now, on the other hand, there's a list of things that I have organized as being not addressed at all. In a 40-minute long video, Turkey Tom manages not to say anything about any of these issues. Let's go down the list. He does not address his sexual dysfunction or porn addiction. He doesn't address that he could not ejaculate during sex. He could not address that he only finishes while his partner is screaming or crying in pain. He doesn't address that he masturbates to just recorded videos of sex immediately after, which both women confirmed. He doesn't address that he has hour-long beating sections where he can't finish because he has death grip. He doesn't address his drug use. He doesn't address the fact that he does cocaine. He doesn't address the fact that he's done nitrous or whippets. He doesn't address the fact that he took Kai's Adderall. He doesn't address the fact that Kai was his obsession. He doesn't address the fact that he told both women that they looked like Kai. He doesn't address the fact that he bought Monster High things that Kai liked for his other girls. He doesn't address the fact that he took out sexual aggressions on Sacramento and Katie because he was angry at Kai. He never addresses the night rape voicemails or any other consensual, non-consensual adjacent languages. He never addresses the fact that he told both women that they looked like little girls. He never addresses the fact that he booked one-way flights only. He never addresses the fact that he made Katie sit silently during his streams. He never addresses the fact that he got ringworm from a furry convention, which he passed on to Katie. He never addressed the fact that he sent Katie home on the day of her birthday. He never addressed the fact that he uses a baby voice or sucked his thumb. He never addressed the fact that he made weird comparisons to underage Game of Thrones characters. He never addressed the fact that he was completely emotionally oblivious. He never addressed the fact that he might be bisexual or that Destiny used a butt plug when they met up. He never addressed the fact that he ghostwrites all of his videos on YouTube. He never addressed his weird rock star fantasy. He never addressed his living conditions or hygiene, such as the Zen volcano. He never addressed the fact that he went to church and got kicked out by the pastor for looking like a slob. He never addressed the fact that he has a self-harm history. He never addressed the fact that he would not use lube for no reason other than to masturbate. He never addressed the fact that he would not buy a return flight for the girls that he flies out. He would not address the fact that he threatened Sacramento about the Kiwi Farms. And he never addressed the fact that he fucked the dog girl. Okay? In fact, this is one of the only things that Sacramento provided any evidence for. There are pictures of her in the same room that she is taking photographs of herself in. And finally, the one thing that Turkey Tom never, ever, ever addresses is that she said that his live-in roommate, who had, for whatever reason, his own money, his own wife, his own child, also did nitrous oxide before going to the hospital and making a GoFundMe for $350,000, which he claimed was from an accident and not from a vitamin deficiency from using drugs. And this is the biggest sticking point. He never, ever addressed why Brandon, his roommate, doxed her. And that is that she claimed that he scammed $350,000 for a drug addiction. So here is my final thoughts on this. If this woman, if Rohan, had not lied about a couple things that were foundational to their relationship, that Turkey Tom could demonstrably point a finger at and say, she's lying about this, you would have the hottest fucking goss for days. But she ignored me. I sent her an email. The first thing that I said to her when she sent me an email asking for an invite was, tell the truth and back up everything that you say with evidence if you can. And she ignored me. And as a result, she is going to be really seriously dealing with consequences as a result of this. The other issue is that this will come up again. You can be really fucking mad at me all you want, but this is going to happen again. It's going to happen in a year or two because he is going to make the exact same mistakes. He's going to do the exact same fucking thing that he did before, and he's going to get into trouble with it again because his idol is apparently Destiny. And she sent me a message, and I had been ignoring her, but she sent me a message that I was interested in, so I looked up into it. And during a brief conversation, she said something like, yeah, Destiny is his idol. And I said, have you ever seen this video? And it's the video of It's Mel Time, where Destiny's wife, Melina, gets up and dances with a black man behind him while he looks like he's in agony. And the phrase It's Mel Time has become a sticking point to refer to Destiny as a cuckold. And she told me in response to this, oh, that makes sense. He has a playlist on Spotify called It's Kai Time, filled with sappy emo breakup songs. And that was really funny. I laughed at that. And it's just like, if you had just not fucking lied about the really obvious bullshit to make yourself look more like a victim, that would be really, really funny. And people would find that really, really funny. And it would be something that people would bring up about Turkey Tom for years to come, that it's Kai Time because she cucked him. But she tried to make it about herself and tried to lie to make herself look more like a victim. So there will be no long-term consequences. But as I said, it will happen again. Because if you're stacking up bodies 15 high in a year, eventually, let's say that he has 15 partners and 2 of them came out and called him like a weird goon clown, and he's doing this once a month, every month, you're going to hit another fucking landmine, buddy. It's going to be about 7 months before you piss off another girl that's going to want to talk shit about you. It's going to be about a year before you piss off 2 of them that might meet each other. So here's my point. Okay. I don't want to litigate the minutia of the claims because it's just an aside at this point. Like, these are the things that she said that he didn't bother to address. And he didn't bother to address them because he doesn't have to. He's able to prove that one of the most important things about her story was a lie, that she didn't know him before matching him on Tinder. So therefore, everything else is also a lie. However, he can expect that certain things that were said are going to get brought up. I mean, it's funny. The idea that the Kiwi Farms makes his dick soft is really funny, and that's going to get brought up regardless of if people think it's true or not. It's a matter of if they like you or not. That depends on if they believe it's true. And part of what really bothers me is that I like Turkey Tom. And when I talk to him, I try to give him like actually good advice. And I try to encourage him to like be decent because he's in a winning position. Like, you have everything you could possibly fucking want, just don't fuck it up. And he wants to like idolize Destiny, who's a complete fuck up, whose life is like always hanging by a thread. He's being sued for revenge pornography. He lost the co-host to his podcast. He can't ever like go up in politics like Hassan Piker because he's always going to be that revenge pornography goon clown. It's like, why the fuck would you idolize that? And it pisses me off that the most prominent people who have ever had a direct association with the Kiwi Farms are like deranged. Do you know what the top 3 people who have definitely had Kiwi Farms accounts are, like in terms of popularity? Turkey Tom, Pippa Pipkins, and Shondo, 2 of which are just outright lolicons peddling lolicon VTuber shit to pedophiles. Shondo did a video about how her mother on New Year's Day, she got drunk and did a video crying about her and her mother having a suicide pact, and how her mother said that if she killed herself, she'd have to kill herself so they could be together. And she was like crying about how her life was and then posted a bunch of about how little girl cartoon characters are sexy. And then 2 weeks later announced that she signed a mortgage for a new house. And it's like, that's our representative from the Kiwi Farms Girl Cow board, because she was a big follower of Amberlynn because she has eating disorders, and Amberlynn's popular with the eating disorder crowd. Pippa Pipkins tried to like reach out to me to do like a collab at some point, and I was like, no. And she called me like Dear Feeder. And now she's doing the same thing. She has like this weird ass lolicon avatar showing tummy because Saba or whatever the fuck showed tummy and made a ton of money. So now she's like, I gotta get on that too. That's awesome. That's really cool. Then you got Turkey Tom, who's basically just like a mini Destiny, who's apparently can't fucking come because he's jerked off so much. And it's like, if even 10% of what she said is true, like, you're fucked up, bro. Do you not understand that you're not going to be happy, that you're fucking up your whole life, that you have this wonderful opportunity, you have a golden apple, and you're just fucking up your whole life because you're addicted to porn and drugs, and you're trying to be way cooler than a YouTuber should try to be. You're not a rock star. So I want to round this out with some advice. First of all, I have consulted the Supreme Council of Women. Okay. I understand that it's scary being a young person today, trying to find a partner, trying to find a boyfriend, girlfriend. So the Supreme Council of Soviets, Women Edition, on the Kiwi Farms, has given me the following advice to women, chat. First, a man who gets sexual pleasure from slapping you, choking you, spitting on you, and seeing you in pain doesn't love you, and you're wasting your time trying to make him love you. Number two, you don't have to try to act like a porn star to impress a man. A man who needs violent to get off is broken and not worth dating. Do not trauma dump about your mental illnesses right away because you are only going to attract predators and scare off normal men. And four, don't seek validation from casual sex with men. That is what the women have relayed to me for advice for women. It's just weird because it's like when young people like sit down to have sex, they're like, okay, oh God, it's my first time, so I'm going to spit in your mouth and slap you, okay? And it's like, what the fuck's wrong with you people? Advice for men, stop watching porn. 100% of his issues would go away if he stopped death gripping. Like, I was told a meme that if you just jerk off before sex, you last, like, a long time. And that was, like, advice, literally advice that was given to me. And it's like, don't do that. Don't do that. If you're doing that, and that's why it takes you an hour to come and you have to, like, jerk off anyways at the end of it, just stop masturbating. You're fucking yourself up. Stop being a man because you're going to seriously damage your understanding of relationships, and stop evaluating yourself based off how many bodies you can lay or whatever, because if you're not happy with who you are, you're not going to be happy after having sex with 30 random prostitutes from the internet.